We hear a lot from President Trump and others about undocumented immigrants who commit vicious and ugly crimes. We thought you might want to meet some other ones.
And go.
They say the two greatest days of your lives are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah.
So for us, this is our why.
Identical twins John and James want nothing more than to serve in the military.
Serving the United States has been our why for a long time.
Just give us a chance to prove that we're Americans.
The two, who didn't want us to identify them by last name, are currently under contract with the Army, but as dreamers, brought to the U.S. illegally from the Philippines at age 10. The decision Congress makes on immigration could determine whether they are deployed or deported.
You're watching the TV if they're gonna, pass a permanent legislation for DACA, or if you're waiting for that phone call to ship out. So you don't really know, am I gonna ship out or am I gonna get sent back to a country that I hardly know?
John and James were able to join the military's now defunct MAVNI program in 2016. That was a pilot program set up to allow skilled undocumented immigrants to enlist.
You have to be here residing in the United States for 2 years. Well, we've been residing this pretty much half of our lives.
Yeah.
You have to speak a strategic language, and turns out Tagalog was one of them.
Yeah.
Heavily needed. Fluent Tagalog, understand it, write it, every single thing.
I guess the MAVNI program was a chance
for us
to give back, and we want to show you guys that, protecting this country and potentially dying for it maybe is not a problem because we love this country.
Foreign-born troops can become naturalized citizens only after they complete basic training and extensive background checks. The entire process can take years. John and James might not have that much time. Their DACA status expires in October, and their race against time is continually detoured by changing requirements and delays.
We were scheduled to leave on October 2016, and then we got delayed. So come March 2017, right? They pushed it back again to October of 2017.
Yeah.
So, it just kind of, oh man.
John is due to ship out to basic training on March 5th. That's the same day President Trump has given as a deadline for Congress to come up with a solution for DACA. James has not yet received his call.
It's kind of disheartening because, we're practically the same person.
Yeah.
And for one twin to ship out and one to wait in limbo, you can't help but anxiety and paranoia to creep in.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Just a few days ago, Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis tried to ease that anxiety, telling reporters that service members such as John and James are in no danger of being deported, adding, quote, "We would always stand by one of our people." CNN reached out to the Pentagon to see what concrete steps are being taken to keep that promise. The Pentagon told us that Secretary Mattis has, quote, "been in contact with his counterpart at the Department of Homeland Security, and we're confident that our service members are not in any kind of jeopardy."
I really do hope that they find a solution for people like me.
Yeah.
And, it's because they can utilize us. We raised our right hands and swore oath, and we knew what were the consequences. So that's no problem with us. The only thing that I would want to ask
people of authority.
Yeah, people of authority and the American people is that a chance to prove that we're Americans.
I want to bring in back my political panel. Take a listen to what President Trump had to say earlier today about the Dreamers and DACA.
They've been talking about DACA for many years, and they haven't produced. We started talking about DACA, and I think we'll produce. But if the Democrats want to make a deal, it's really up to them.
Is there a deal that the president is willing to sign?
Well, it's depending on what day you ask him, because he's gone from saying he'll sign whatever they bring him to now he's saying he seems like he's not suggesting he'll sign anything other than what he's proposed, which is the pathway to citizenship along with the $25 billion for his border wall and border security in exchange for that. And he doesn't seem open to signing anything else. And at times he's been a very complicated player in all of this situation because his support for anything is going to be crucial. But at times the Hill has wished that sometimes it's just better if he stays out of these discussions. But now we see the president ready to pin the blame if no solution has been thought of to blame it on Democrats.
The obvious issue here is you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass anything. There are only 51 Republicans. You need 9 Democrats. Is there something that 9 Democrats would be willing to support, not just the border security and DACA, but all those major changes he wants to do to legal immigration, whether it's the end of diversity lottery program, bringing down the percentage of individuals who come here because of family reunification or so-called chain migration? Is there a deal that those 9 Democrats are willing to support, that the House of Representatives, the Republicans, are willing to support?
I mean, maybe in the Senate. I think the House is pretty hard. But look, this is a hostage negotiation. You know, I really have to say, like, I think it's incredible that the United States is seriously considering possibly deporting people who came here as children to countries they have never lived in. People need to really consider the inhumanity of this, that this is an actual conversation. And the Democrats are basically saying, can we just de-link this and just have one conversation about DACA, the Dreamers, because most Americans support letting them stay here. President Trump has expressed support for it. Let's do that, and then let's deal with this other stuff on the side. And instead, like I said, they've turned it into a hostage negotiation, which is the only way you're going to get that is to agree to a bunch of stuff that you don't want, that you don't think is necessary, that you even think is harmful.
Look, President Obama did this in an irresponsible way. He used executive authority that he himself acknowledged he did not have. He put these people in a very, very bad position, thinking that, I don't know, that there would be Democratic presidents who agreed with him on this forevermore, despite the fact that the courts then, when they tried to expand it, said, no, you can't do this. This is the right way to do it. You need to have,
legislatively.
Yes, you need to have a discussion in Congress. The president, although I do not agree with him often on immigration, except for his old positions back when he was more liberal on those, but whatever. Although I don't agree with him, he made an argument to the American people. This was a large part of why he was elected. Democrats, I'm sorry, even though I agree with them on DACA, don't get to set the agenda because they did not win. And so you have to have this discussion. And by the way, the border security part of this is plenty popular with plenty of Democrats. I think there is a deal to be made. But do we have a functional system to actually make that deal? And Trump has been movable in the past on this, as I noted. So I'm not sure that you would need every single one of those pillars. It just remains to be seen if they can actually pull this together.
I think you made an interesting note in your piece as well about them being deported, because we've seen not only Mattis, the defense secretary, but also the president himself and the Department of Homeland Security secretary say that these people will not be deported. If they should not be.
The ones who are in the military, yeah.
Well, no, not even that. They've said also DACA recipients shouldn't be fearful of being deported if a deal is not reached by March 5th. But what tangible, concrete evidence did they have to hang their hat on at the end of the day that will not happen? It's just verbal promises, verbal statements from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and the President, but nothing tangible that says they will not be deported.